So we should be streaming. Let me double check. We are. Okay. So how do you name a circle? So 360 tells you how many degrees are in a circle, but how do we name it? You know, like we name a triangle or we name an angle or whatever. How would we name a circle? You use the middle point. You use the point in the middle to name the circle. So this right here is circle P. So now I always write out the word circle, but you can also use this symbol. I don't like that symbol either. It bothers me. I bet it bothers you for the same reason it bothers me.
What does it look like?
But so anyway, so I just always write the word circle P. You cannot put just a P because that's a point. You have to put something to indicate it's a circle. Okay, name a radius. Now you should know what a radius is. What is a radius?
Half a line.
Okay, so it has to start like in the center and go to the outside edge or vice versa, right? So CP is a radius. PB is a radius. PA is a radius, right? Those are all radii. Radii, plural for radius. All right? Okay, we're going to skip 3. We'll come back to it in a minute. Number 4, name a diameter. AB. Now, what is a diameter? From one side to the other, but it has to pass through the middle point. Now let's back up and name a chord. So number 3, what's a chord? DE. Now I do want to talk about this. Y'all know technically AB is also a chord. Because a chord just goes from one side to the other, right? The difference between a chord and a diameter is a chord doesn't have to go through the middle, right? So we call AB a diameter, even though it is also a chord too. It's kind of like that whole square rectangle thing, right? So we call squares squares. They're still rectangles, right? But we don't ever say, oh, look at that rectangle there. We don't do that. We say, look at that square. Okay, name a radius that's not drawn as part of the diameter. So which one would that be? PC. Okay, so PE is a radius, right? Like it's from the center to the outside edge, that's a radius. So is PD. The only thing is they're not indicated on this drawing, so we wouldn't name them because they're not indicated on the drawing. They're still radii. Like it doesn't change the fact that they are a radius. We just wouldn't list them. Okay. Number 6. Suppose the diameter of the circle is 16 centimeters. Find the radius. So if the diameter is 16, then what do we do to find the radius? Divide it by 2. Divide it by 2. The radius is half of the diameter. So we would divide it by 2. Not multiply, divide. Okay? Now, number 7 says if PC is 11. Now, PC is this right here. Now, what is PC called? It's a radius. So if we're wanting to find AB, how would we use PC to find AB? So, since that's a radius, then this is also equal to that. It's also 11. And this is also equal to that. It's also 11, right? So if we take any radii value, it doesn't matter which radius we're talking about, and we multiply it by 2, we get the value of the diameter. So in this case, the diameter is 22 inches. Okay, y'all with me? Everybody good so far? Okay, now this next little piece we're going to do is a little bit tricky for some people, especially with sometimes our brains process information in weird ways. So why is that pulling? Why do we have it plugged in on that side? Hang on. Oh. Uh-oh.
I know that's what we're
We're still streaming. We're just black. Okay. Uh-oh. I can't get it to come back on.
You said get on live, right?
Yes. I can't get it to stop. I don't know what's going wrong.
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep.
Okay.
That was the last time you did that.
I'm gonna get canceled. I wish they'd come at me. Come on, cancel me. Okay, we are back. Not black. Well, I mean, I don't know. Some of y'all could be. I don't know. I don't check your race out. Cool. Okay. You what?
Say the word.
Well, I mean, anybody could say they're anything. That doesn't make it true. Okay. On we go. So, on this right here, if you look at it as circles, I think it makes it hard to understand. But if we just take this segment, and I'm going to just sketch out this segment. So we've got A, C, right? And then we've got, say, G somewhere about here, F somewhere about here, B somewhere about here. Now, we're going to have to use our knowledge of circles, but I think the circles make it harder for people to see what we're talking about, okay? So, they tell us that the diameters of circle F and circle G are 5 and 6. 5.
Are we going to restart the video? I think we have to release.
Oh my gosh.
I think you have to stop the video.
I am so tired, Joel. So tired. And I get a little loopy when I'm tired. So, 5 and 6 units respectively. So this means when we see the word respectively like this, that means whatever order they're listed in here, they're listed in the same order here. So, circle F is 5, circle G is 6, okay? So, that's diameter. Now, we're looking at circle G, and its diameter is from B, right, all the way to C. This diameter is 6 units, okay? Now, that's important information. We're going to come back to it in a minute. And then they tell us that F, which this is it, F here, and F goes from A to G, right? So from A to G, like right here, is 5 units, okay? Now, we're wanting to find this piece right here, but just using diameters is going to make that difficult. But what do we know about diameters? What can we break diameters down into? Radius. And so if we look at a radius of F, it goes from A to F, right? From A to F. And from A to F is 2.5 from A to F. And if we look at the radius of G, then we can go from G to B, right? And from G to B is 3. And notice how we have this area right here that overlaps where they both have that part. So what is that going to be right there?
Subtraction.
We're going to subtract them. So we're going to take this 3 and subtract that 2.5 out of it. Okay.
Wait.
Okay, let me do it a different way, okay? Instead of marking this one, let's mark from F to G this way as our 2.5. Do y'all see it? So from G to F is 2.5, and from G to B is 3, and the difference is that little piece in the middle, the little piece right there. So that is 0.5. That's our difference. Does that make sense? Y'all follow what I'm saying? Okay, and so then on this one, you're going to do basically the same thing. It's just asking you for AB. So you're going to use what you already know, right? So we're going to use what we already know. And we already know that F is 0.5. And we know that FA is 2.5. So what would AB be? It would be 2. That was pretty dang good, wasn't it? Like, I'm proud of myself. Okay, so it'd be 2. Does that make sense? Okay, now, but the real meat of what we're doing today is in the next couple of problems. So the next 4-ish, not these, but 2 here and 2 here we're going to do. So, do you know how to find the circumference of a circle?
5 3 times 3. Oh, it's the diameter. Diameter times pi with the radius times 2 times pi. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got big brain.
Okay. Now, the reason these are the same is because, y'all, what is 2 times the radius? It is the diameter. These are the same formula. They're just written in a different manner, right? Now, if I'm just trying to remember the formula, I like this. And the reason I like this is because the area of a circle is pi r squared. So they both use pi, they both use r, they both use 2. And I just have to remember these 2 formulas and then remember that squared means area. And so that means, oh, that other one is circumference, right? But for the purposes of today, we're going to use this one. Okay, now let's talk about why. Because in this one, they gave us circumference and they want us to find diameter and radius. Okay, so we want to make life as easy for ourselves as possible. So instead of plugging it into one equation, find diameter, and then plug it in the other equation and find radius, we can just find diameter and then divide by 2, right? And that makes our life as easy as we can possibly make it. So if we plug it in, we're going to say that 36 equals pi times diameter. Wake up, Jared. Wake up. So if we're trying to solve for diameter, how do we get rid of pi? You divide by pi. How do we know we divide? They're being multiplied. And to unmultiply, you divide. So on your calculator, you have 2 options. You can plug in 36 divided by 3.14. Or you can plug in 36 divided by, bless you, by pi. There's a pi button. Do you see it on your calculator? It's above the caret key. Now, if you plug in either one of those or both of those, you're going to see that it's 2 different numbers. But they're going to round to about the same thing. And they're going to round to what? Somebody say, tell me. I think it's like 3.46. Is that right? Anybody? Nobody? It's not even 3, is it? It's 11 point what? I wasn't even close. 4.6? I had the 4.6 right. 11.46. Huh? From memory. I didn't do that math in my head. No. I mean, from like, I've done this 4 times today. Okay. Now, to find that's our diameter, and to find our radius, we just take that 11.46 and divide by 2. Right? So what's that going to be? 5.7. 5.72? Jared, is this 2? You lucky dog. Oh my gosh. Okay. So if we're going to find this one, right? So they gave us circumference. We're going to plug it into circumference equals pi times diameter. And then we're solving for diameter. So what do we do with pi? We divide. Y'all, this is just algebra. We're not memorizing anything, right? We didn't have to remember. It's not like I'm saying, y'all, to find this, you divide by pi. Don't do that. Look at the math, right? Work the math the way you know how to work the math. Okay? What does that wind up being, by the way? No guesses. Don't guess. You're holding calculators. Do the math. What is it? 48. And then to find our radius, 47. And then find our radius, we divide by 2, right? Does it round up? Oh my gosh. Y'all know how to round?
Yeah.
No, because I think I cleared it. Divided by.
Wait a second.
I'm just going to type in 3.14. 5.48. So if you use pi, you do get 5.47. Okay, so you used 3.14, didn't you? And you used pi, right? Okay, so we need to be consistent because I don't want to have to type 4,000 different answers in. So we need to decide, are we going to use 3.14 or are we going to use the pi button?
Say 2 buttons. 3.14 is 3. 4 buttons.
Depends on where we're working on the worksheet.
Yeah, and then the paper does say.
Are we working on the other side tomorrow?
Like no one says.
So probably tomorrow then, because we're going to
Yeah.
be doing
I tell you what, I don't care. Y'all can do it either way. It don't matter to me. Okay. Yeah, it's just, I mean, what? An extra minute? No biggie. Okay, we got 2 more problems to do. Okay, so this is to find the exact circumference of each circle. The exact circumference of each circle. Okay? Now, to find circumference, we need what?
The radius.
Or one of the 2, right? I'm going to put diameter there. If we found the radius, then we can just multiply by 2, right? So, tell me what you see.
I see.
Well, it's really not.
It looks wonky there.
It's really not wonky. What do you see besides the circle not being wonky?
3 centimeters.
What is the 3 centimeters?
I don't know.
It's not pointing.
It's like it's not really on anything. It's either on the square or the radius.
Oh, it's on this.
It's
Yeah.
a cord.
It is a chord. It is part of the square. It is the side of the square.
Ooh, I thought that was like a square inside of.
Now that is a square inside of the circle. That's called inscribed. When you have a shape that is inside the circle and touching on all of its points, it's called inscribed, okay? You'll need to know that later on, but I'm just throwing it out there today. So, tell me what else do you see besides a square? You see some triangles there? What kind of triangles maybe?
Right triangle.
45, 45, 90 triangles, right? So if you see a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and we could use Pythagorean theorem, but to save time, I'm just going to shortcut this. 1, 1 square root of 2. So whatever this side is the same, which we know it is because they're marked, right? And then this side is that times the square root of 2. So 3 square roots of 2. Now, like I said, you could use Pythagorean theorem and do 3 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. Or you could totally do that. But just to save time, we're going to do this. So we got 3 square roots of 2. That's our diameter. And now we're going to put that diameter in our equation. So we're going to have pi times 3 square roots of 2. Don't grab your calculators because you don't need them. This asked us for the exact circumference. If you plug this in your calculator, you're going to have to round. So that's the answer. We actually would write it like this, though. You put your pi at the end, but that would be your answer. 3 square roots of 2 times pi. That's your exact answer. Yeah, because it asked for an exact. Now, if it asks for a rounded answer, you plug it in and get a rounded answer. Or if it asks for an approximate answer. Or if it said about. So anytime they say about, approximate, rounded, then you would plug it in. But if they ask for an exact answer, then you have to leave it like that. Okay, so on this one, same concept, except it's not a square. So it's not a 45, 45, 90. I mean, it could be, but do we know that really, though? We do not know that. We cannot assume. The only thing that we can assume is that what's on there is what we know. So, now it is a triangle, and it does have a right angle, right? And we know that this is 8. So what is this right here? 15. So that means we know 2 sides of a right triangle. So, right? So then we're going to do 64 plus 225. And then I'm going to help y'all out just for the sake of time. Guess what? 189. Take the square root of that is. Anybody want to make a wild stabbing guess?
17.
Good guess. Wrong. But good guess.
18.
Good guess again. But wrong. It's 17. It's 17. 17 is what that is. So that means that our diameter is 17. So if we're finding the circumference, and circumference is pi times diameter, and our diameter is 17, then that means our circumference is pi times 17. But that's not the way we write it. How would we write it? 17 pi. Just like you would write 17x, right? Landon. I just wrote the wrong number, dude. I mean, clearly I know that it's 225 and 64 right here.
So we just like messed up.
I messed up just a little bit. Jeez. I am so tired. Okay, now your assignment is the back. Okay, listen to me. Because you do need a calculator with pi for a little bit of this, I want you to come in having had 1 through 9 done. 10 through 14 I'll let you do in class tomorrow. So 10 through 14, and you are the only class I'm letting do this, by the way. Everybody else I made homework. 10 through, but I spent so much of your class time talking to you. 10 through 14 we'll do tomorrow. 1 through 9 today. You got to have it done. It is 1:28. Hey. Yes.